Hey, welcome back to another episode of the F Yeah podcast, Flatirons Young Adults. Here, Christian and Ambry once again.
Hello.
It's we were just talking about this best time of the year, in my opinion. Favorite 2 days are the Thursday and Friday of the opening of March Madness, and I'm so excited for it. I know you and Connor. You guys are in Kansas.
So Connor went to KU. We got to go KU, but I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't track it very well.
Yeah, I don't really think anybody does. Every year that I've tried to track it and I make a bracket, oh, that rhymes. Track it, make a bracket. Every year I do it, it all just falls apart by like the afternoon on Thursday. But that's why I love it. It's so fun, unpredictable. It's amazing. Speaking of just like fun, amazing, slightly unpredictable things, today we're talking about decision making and how specifically a lot of times as Christians, when we try to make decisions, it can be really hard and really complicated. We wish that decisions were so clearly spelled out for us that God would help us do everything in our lives. And I think you and I today are going to talk a lot about how maybe we've overcomplicated some decisions in our life and what God has taught us about what it means to make decisions as following him.
Yeah.
But kind of to kick us off, I know that recently you had to make a pretty big decision in your life and a really exciting decision. So would you like to just share that and unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I shared this with our community last week, I think it was, but I am stepping down from my role on Flatirons. I mean, some people listen to this. I don't even know if they know me or my face or anything, but so it's not a big deal, but I am stepping off staff to really just stay home with my son and really pursue, just see if I can do the whole mom thing, for a bit and then see what's coming in life after that. But yes, I think why we want to talk about this is because I think many young adults was in turmoil over making this decision.
Yeah.
And when you bring God into that, I think I can easily overcomplicate and over spiritualize, especially with a job like this. Like, this is a calling, this is an identity thing. And if I want to do this, I want to make a decision faithfully. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But when I bring God into it, I think sometimes I could be like, he's supposed to write it in the sky. And I'll be honest, I don't feel like it was written in the sky.
Yeah.
I think my confirmation, if you will, or my clarity really came from as soon as I made a decision, I was met with, and Connor and I were really met with, like the indescribable peace that we've talked about. Just something about my home was lighter. And now, of course, it does feel like things are lining up. It does feel like things are way more and more clear, but it was not that way in making the decision. And so you and I can both really relate to, it's just hard to make a decision specifically as Christians, because I do think there's this temptation to over spiritualize and over complicate it. When we say like we're doing this with God kind of life, which we are. Yeah. I will say, Christian, you really like helped me. You really influenced me in the season of making this decision. I was really honest with Christian that I was like, hey, I'm really considering stepping off staff. I'm not sure if it's right. I'm not sure if it's wrong. I'm not sure if God's leading me. And Christian, really your experience, and like without even knowing it, you were like teaching me in this moment. And like spoke to me. I felt the freedom to be like, I can make this choice and make this choice faithfully, and not feel like this, was it the right or wrong decision? Yeah. I really felt like after we spoke, I could make a decision, be met with God in that decision. It wouldn't be right or wrong, but I would still be faithful in doing this with God kind of life. So I kind of want to throw it back to you. Sure. And how you had to make big decisions in your life, and kind of what God taught you in that, because it was so impactful for me. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I also want to set the record straight that it's like I'm not a wizard or had some sort of level of you
like.
Wish you were Harry Potter.
Oh my gosh,
though.
I love. That's a whole.
All right, never mind. Sorry.
Bring it back in, people.
I know. Why did I do that?
Gosh, it'd be so easy, so fun though. No, I mean I appreciate you saying that, but that really came from. You and I were just talking one day, and I shared my experience that was very similar to yours, and it really came. The wisdom comes from. I got my ass kicked for about 2 years wrestling with something like this, and it's difficult. So to give it like a kind of a abbreviated version of that. So I was actually on staff with Flatirons prior to this role with young adults. I interned here with you, and then I came on staff with student ministries. And there was a time in my life, it was when Emma and I, we were dating for about a year and a half. We were about to get engaged, and I remember kind of looking at the landscape of my life and just being like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm miserable. My mental health was horrible. I was depressed. I was anxious. Everything, it just felt like everything just was kind of fraying in my life.
Yeah.
But I remember having almost this false sense of guilt that I had to stay in ministry, stay in student ministry, because how could I walk away from these kids and how could I walk away from God, right? And that was during a time here at Flatirons where I think a lot of, which is really impactful for me, there was a lot of, hey, focus on, work on yourself as an individual, and not like get better at your skills. Like, look at what's sucks in your
broken.
Heart. Look at what's bad. And I didn't want to admit it at the time, but there was a lot of stuff that was bad in my heart, a lot of motivations that were off. So long story short, I remember going up, I did a silent retreat, which sounds way more spiritual than it is. It was awful. I went up to a cabin up in like Grand Lake, and I was like, okay, I had this expectation that God was going to meet me there, that I was going to feel him, that he was going to speak to me. Excuse me. I've had so many people tell me about silent retreats, and they were these super spiritual, holy thing where they met God on a mountain, and he made, yeah, it is very possible. And I'm not saying that their stories are untrue. And it was so great, and he met them with the answer they were looking for. And my question going up there was like, hey, God, am I supposed to stay in ministry or not? Am I supposed to stay with this job? Like, I'm about to get married, and I don't want to be a crappy husband, but like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore right now. And I don't know if this is the right thing for me, but I don't want to make you mad. I don't want to betray you. So let me know. Dude, I got nothing out of that silent retreat. I literally remember leaving the cabin, and I'm sorry if people don't like this, but I'm going to say it, flipping off the ceiling, flipping off God and going, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Like, you gave me nothing and I have no clarity.
Yeah.
Drove home, ended up seeing my parents, and my mom totally just rocked my world. I processed it with her, and she said, hey, can I be honest with you? I said, yeah. She goes, you're not yourself anymore. You're not healthy. You're either super down or you're super up. All of your time, energy, and attention in your mind is always thinking about work, about the church, about your students, about this, about your next step in your career.
Yeah.
And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because I realized, like, wow, this role, this job in ministry had a super unhealthy place in my life. That was kind of a clarifying moment for me, where I just made a decision based on that. I said, hey, I have no idea if this is God or not. I'm not healthy, and I needed to admit that. And so I stepped off staff eventually. Wow. And for that about 1.5 years, 2 years, until you called me and said, hey, do you want to come back? Some of the darkest years of my life, where, I mean, it sounds like it would have been awesome. Oh, he's going to get healthy. He's stepping off staff. I remember feeling this guilt to go, I need to justify this decision with God and make it spiritual. I remember I had to tell people, God's calling me away from staff into something new. He's calling me into marriage. Yeah. Dude, I had no idea if he was calling me or not. I just remember going, I'm miserable. God is silent. And so, like, I'm going to try to make a move here to, like, stop the misery and stop dealing with the pressure and stop dealing with, because I just felt like shit. But I remember stepping off staff, and then that just like, that stuff just kept compiling. I remember looking at myself in the mirror, waking up and going, I don't know who I am anymore. I have no big shiny career. I don't know what job I'm going to work. I'm about to propose to my fiance, and which now my wife, Emma, and I have no direction for my life. I feel like I let kids down. I feel like I let people down. I feel like I let God down, and I feel like God was mad at me the whole time. Wow. So I sift through that 1.5 2 year period. And I remember getting to the end of it, and without going into too much detail, it was so healing for me. Yeah. God gave me a season just to wrestle with my identity, to wrestle with him and myself. And when I say that he was quiet through the whole period, I started realizing what he was really doing is he was putting me in the fire, and he was allowing me to struggle with all the things I was struggling with, so that they could kind of come to light and be revealed. And I remember at the end of it, the clarity that I had coming out of that season was, number one, God was just saying, hey, man, I don't need you to do any of this stuff. And you don't need any big shiny career or person or thing to validate who you are. Like, dude, I love you just the same as you were in ministry as you were now. So I wanted to, you got out of there, and I'm glad you got out of there, because you and I had some stuff to work out. You didn't know it yet, but we had some stuff to work out. And then I remember you called me. You said, hey, do you want to come back? And I remember again, all right, God, here's your chance number 2. You're going to write yes or no in the sky. Yes. And this was the thing, again, is God had reframed this super harmful legalistic relationship that I had with him of, you're my master, I'm just your servant, and you bailed me out of hell, so I better not piss you off. And so you said I need to go work for you, so it's noble, and I have to go work for you. Wow. I remember it being so clear when you called me. I was married, by this time I was married, and I remember talking with Emma, And I remember just kind of praying about it, thinking, and the most like, as God had reframed this, hey, I'm not a dictator, dude. I'm your dad. I love you. I want what's best for you. I want what's good for you. You called me, and I remember God going, not very like this voice in my head, not this like big clarifying. It was just this peaceful sense of like, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Because for the first time in my life, I was healthy again. I felt like I was like, I'm not going to care what people think about me anymore. I'm not going to let these negative things that were dictating my life dictate it. This desire to be validated, this desire to be looked as, oh, he's doing something cool with his life. It was just a sense of like, hey, dude, Christian, you and I are good. You don't have to do anything for me. I love you. That's why I died. I sent my son to die for you because I love you. We're good. I remember feeling the freedom to go, hey, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And that's where all of the emotions, these memories started flooding back of, no, I really do like ministry. And I care about people knowing about who Jesus is. And I care about the world being able to see him clearly. But I remember is this question that I felt like God was asking me. It was not like, are you going to do it or not? It was, do you want to? Hey, because, hey, dude, here's the deal. You don't have to do this. But in all that, when it comes to decision making, I think what I learned is number one, a lot of times what we put on God is we want him to number one, be like a genie in the bottle. So first and foremost, we want to rub the bottle, have him pop out and go, hey, are you going to give me what I want?
Yes.
What I want in this season, God, are you going to give me a spouse? Are you going to give me a boyfriend, a girlfriend? Are you going to give me the job that I want?
Yeah.
And that's not our relationship with him. Number two, what I wanted God to do in this season, coming back into this job and stepping out was, are you going to be a fortune teller? Are you going to tell me what my future holds? And are you going to tell me what the right thing to do is? What I actually realized God is, in the context of decision making, is he's an illuminator. Wow. What God did in that season, because I had these expectations of God to go, you got to do one of two things.
Totally.
You got to tell me yes, or you got to tell me no.
Right.
And I didn't think if he didn't do that, then he wasn't there. What he was really doing was he was illuminating what was going on in my heart. He was showing me, Christian, you're unhealthy. You need rest. You need to relax. Your motivations for why you're pursuing me, why you're doing all these things in your life are so off.
Yeah.
And so when I didn't think he was answering me at the time, what he was really doing was he was showing me what was going on in my heart. And then he was lovingly and faithfully, whether or not I gave him credit for it, was giving me wisdom to make the right decision based on what was happening in my own heart. And I think that's just what we do with decision making a lot, is we overcomplicate it and over spiritualize it. Am I supposed to take this job or not? Am I supposed to date or marry this person or not? Am I supposed to go left? Am I supposed to go right?
Yes.
And so often what I've learned is God is not putting this huge burden on our backs to go, you better not take a left turn when you're supposed to go right.
Yeah.
You better not go right when you're supposed to go left. What he's really doing is, hey, can I show you what's going on in your heart? Can I show you what your motivations are like? Can I form you into the type of person that has a pure heart, pure motivations, that knows my will? And then from there, dude, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And so now I'm back in this job. Literally, when people ask me like, oh, you called the ministry? I do feel called, but it's like, I'm here because I want to be. And if it was no longer healthy for my life or for my marriage, I would feel so much peace about being like, I don't need to be here anymore, because God's not putting this thing on me where it's like, you have to be here.
That's good.
He showed me there's a freedom to go, I know you and you're good, and I know what you want for my life because you've worked with me to teach me how to ask questions about how do I approach the situation? What does Jesus want for my life at a principle level? Now I can feel the freedom to do what I want and invite God into that process to give me wisdom and show me what's going on in my heart.
Because he has illuminated things for you. You said something to me, and that was so good and refreshing for me to hear at the time, because it was like, Amber, what do you want to go be a mom? And I don't know, one had ever asked me that. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even considered, like, is that what I want to go do? But what I also hear you saying is, you told me at one point that God fixed your wanter.
Yeah. Which Jim referenced at a sermon. Yeah, Dallas Willard.
Well, you should unpack that, because you describe God as a genie, as like we, rub in, see, give us the three things that we want.
Yeah.
But I think at a season of your life, you're admitting that your wanter was all jacked up.
100%.
There was no, like, God was trying to illuminate something in your heart that needed to be fixed, so the wanter wasn't aligned with his wants.
Yeah.
Now you're saying you're not perfect, you're not fixed, you haven't arrived, but you were able to make this decision to come back on staff because he had kind of fixed your wanter, illuminated brokenness in your life to kind of reveal, like, he was trying to get through to you in a different way, and now you're able to you were in a healthy spot to be like, this is what I want. Yeah. And Jesus, and I'm making the decision with Jesus alongside me. Is that fair? Can you unpack that wanter?
So I remember, I think it was I forgot what series it is. If we find it, I'll try to put it in the show notes. It was a message that Jim gave. I believe Dallas Willard said this, pastor author, where God's goal is to fix our wanter, because we have broken wanters, meaning the things that we want are wrong. And the goal of being transformed and what God actually wants for our lives is to fix us and that internal compass that wants to be the type of people that God can give us permission to do whatever we want to do, because we start becoming the type of people that want what he wants. And so my wanter was broken in the sense of, number one, I wanted validation for myself. I wanted validation for my life. I wanted my job, the things around me to tell me I'm a good person. I wanted to feel like I was doing something important, because as a man and as a human being, I felt invaluable. I felt like I was only as good as what I could bring to the table and do for other people. I didn't have a sense of security within myself to go, dude, I'm good just because Jesus died for me and God said so. Like I believed God in my head, but not in my heart. And by that season of fixing my wanter, he let me wrestle with it. And it was like a daily basis. I was waking up with the reality. God was, again, putting it in front of my face going, hey, dude, you know why you feel so insecure right now? Because you want the wrong things. You want validation from a job. You want people around you to look at you and go, oh, he's valuable because he does X, Y, and Z. And what he was trying to drive into my head was, dude, you're good because I say you're good. So therefore, go pursue things out of a place of you're good. Go want things out of a place of I don't need them to validate me. So from there, he kind of gave me the ability to rediscover myself truly. It was a sense of, once he started just letting me wrestle and cry and beg and fight through this insecurity, I really got to the point where I said, hey, the only way I'm going to survive and be happy is if I say, screw it. I'm going to stop caring what people think about me. I'm going to stop worrying about these expectations that nobody's placed on me, but that I think people are placing on me. I'm going to say, screw all of that. And I'm going to try my best just to be content with who I am. And it was like, bingo, dude, I put you in this season to just wrestle with that crap.
Good. So
you could just stop giving a crap about what everybody thinks about you. And then from here on out, Christian, I made you. Can I show you what your passions are? Can I show you what your gifts are? Not so that you can use them to go get validation for them, but that you can actually use them because it brings passion and joy to your life, and it serves people. Because guess what? When you're in line with my will and using the gifts and passions that I've given you, dude, life gets really sweet. I'm not saying you avoid hardships and insecurities still come up, but it was almost a sense of flipping the why behind why I was doing the things in my life, was fixing my wanter. I no longer wanted them because I had to feel or be something. I wanted them because it was like, dang, God and I are good. And because of that, I really want to go help other people figure out that God and them are good. And God's like, that's it, man. Want what I want. And now from here, guess what? Dude, you can do that if you go back into ministry. I didn't go back into ministry because I felt God going like, I am calling you. But it was like, dude, I created you to do something like this. Go do it. And it's created that freedom in it. So that's what, if that answers your question, that's kind of what it means really to fix our wanters. It's looking at the motivations of our heart and asking ourselves, why are we doing the things we're doing?
Why do I want? So maybe even telling a young adult, like, look at why you want what you want. Because I don't think all wants are off. Like let's talk about big wants for young adults specifically. What I hear a lot, relationship, huge want. That's not a wrong want.
100%.
That's a good desire to want to be in a relationship. That's not off by any means. That's not sinful. To want a career, especially if you're jobless, to want purpose. To want direction. I mean, a lot of us are wrestling with, should I move to that place? Should I go to that church? Should I pursue that job? Should I leave my job? Should I leave the relationship? Should I pursue this relationship? And these are all good questions to bring before the Lord. And I love that you brought in the analogy of the wanter. And I do think we should add that because it's so true. I mean, I think it's good to we can't tell anybody that their wanter is screwed up.
100%.
We can't tell anybody like what's a good want, what's a bad want. But to your point, God is the illuminator of those things. He is the illuminator, not to tell you that's wrong, that's right, but he's the illuminator to show you this is not going to end up good for you. This is my best for you. This is what I want for you. I'm not confused on who you are. And I'm not confused on what my plans are for you. So come to me. I will illuminate the things in your life that are clouding that judgment. And I will maybe even for a season take you out of a relationship, remove you from a job, do these things that we need to do to your experience to clarify that. And then from that point forward with me, this is God, what do you want? And so I love that. I hope that frees people the way that did me. I want to kind of ask you, like, for all of those, for us, for young adults, like maybe just some practical, if you are wrestling with getting into a relationship or leaving a relationship,
decision
pursuing
making.
a job, just decision making. Like, can you give us a bit of advice?
Sure.
Where should they start? Because
where do they go?
fixing your wanter is kind of big and ambiguous, and I think that that's true.
Yeah.
But what practically should we do?
Yeah, and I'll say this too. I think it all comes from a place of understanding that God wants to make decisions with you. And the first thing I'll say to how do I make decisions is, first and foremost, if there is a decision that God wants you to make, that it is life or death, it is black or white, it is left or right, it is straight or backwards, give him the ability to make himself clear. That's one of the things I've learned about God is that, one of my favorite Bible verses is it's in Corinthians where it says, hey, God is not a God of disorder or chaos.
Yeah.
He's a God of peace, meaning God's not trying to screw with you or mess with you or make things confusing. We're the ones that are overcomplicating decision making.
That's so good.
So if there is something that it is that what is called in the big Christian world, unique will, if it's so unique to just you, trust him to light the bush on fire, trust him to part the Red Sea, trust him to make it so clear that, hey, this is what I'm asking you uniquely to do, and let him do that, and just be honest with yourself when he is.
So what you're saying is we can overcomplicate, over-spiritualize a lot of times these decisions in our life. God is not confused on his front.
Yep.
And so trust that if he wants to make something clear, he's capable of making something clear. He's not trying to mess with you. So 100%. If we're in a season of confusion, and I've done this, I've put that on God.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why would you mess with me? Why would you bring the person into my life and then
remove
remove them? Yeah. But you're saying God's not confused on that front. It's us who can overcomplicate, over-spiritualize, invite him into that.
Yeah.
But don't kind of put on him this like confusion and lack of clarity.
Yeah, because if he wants to be that clear, he's going to be that clear.
Okay.
And if he's not, then don't put this expectation on him to be the fortune teller or the genie in the bottle, because he wants to create you to be the type of person that can make decisions for yourself and honor him. And that's the whole point. He's trying to transform the type of person that you are so that he can trust you with making decisions.
That's so helpful.
So if he's going to be really clear, like, hey, you need to move to Montana to start a ministry, to whatever, he'll be really clear you need to move to Montana.
Okay.
If not, his goal is not to go, well, how do I make sure that I get, Ambry in the right place at the right time? His goal is to go, I want to transform Ambry into the type of person that wherever she decides to go, she knows how to honor me. She knows how to serve me so that I can trust her with making decisions. And so that'd be the first thing I would say is, number one, let God, if he's going to be clear, he'll be clear. And there's nothing more that needs to be said about that. But decision making can still be difficult because a lot of times too, here's the reality. God gives us the freedom to go, hey, do what you want. You know how to honor me. Do what you want. You know what it means to serve me. The Holy Spirit is not screwing with us. It lives right next door to our conscience.
Yeah.
You know if you're supposed to do this or you're not supposed to do this. You know what type of person I want you to be. And if not, grow and learn in that. And he'll make it clear it's time to grow and learn. But the second thing is like, hey, in the midst of that, because decision making can be hard because we don't even know how to figure out what we want half the time.
Right.
So I'd say it's step 2 is to just make clarification even that more simple is like, hey, if this is a decision that you're struggling with, does God want this for me or not? Sounds dumb, but go to the Bible.
You have to.
You have to like search it, look for it. Say, hey, in this context of should I date this person? Should I not? Should I take, if there's anything that is so at a level that it's going to be like, hey, God has made this so clear in his word. Like this is a moral principle matter that I'm struggling with. Should I do it or not? Go to the Bible and see what it has to say. Like see if Jesus said anything about it. See if Jesus taught anything about it. See if Paul has any instructions in any of his letters in the New Testament. Do some research. Does the Bible have anything to say about this type of decision making? Yeah. So I think that's step 2 is go there. And then step number 3, and this is, I think, just comes out of a place of God created us for community and we thrive in community. I think it's in Psalms or Proverbs. I'm forgetting which one, but it's one of my favorite verses. It says, hey, when someone makes a decision on their own, it's dangerous. They fail. But in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. There's an aspect of go to people who know you, who want your best, and that if you have them in your life and hey, they're pursuing God, they're pursuing Jesus, go ask them for their opinions. Let them be eyes on this decision. You could be like, hey, I want to date this person. I don't want to date this person. Let people in your life into that relationship so they can look at it and say, hey, this person's going to treat you right. They're going to be good for you. Hey, honestly, you've mentioned a few things about this person I think you need to think about. I think you need to wrestle with. I think you need to rethink this. Hey, I'm going to take this job. Okay, hey, I know you. Well, let's talk about this. Why do you want to take this job? Is this going to be good for you? And invite them in. So I think when it comes to practically making decisions, that we overcomplicate so many times, but that we don't need to complicate yet still feel complicated, is number one, if God is going to be clear, let him be clear, and he will be. Number two, if not, go to the Bible, see if there's anything in there pertaining to your situation. And number three, go to people that you trust, that love you and that love Jesus and want his best for you, and ask them their opinion. Because from there, you'll be able to make a wise decision. Again, one of my favorite verses is James 2, where it says, I believe it's James 2 anyways, where it says, hey, God gives wisdom freely to everybody who asks. And with no strings attached to it, he will give you wisdom. Again, what God is trying to do is transform you into the type of person that he can trust to do whatever you want to do, because you're going to try to make decisions and do things based on the principle of, what does God want for my life? How do I honor him in this context? How do I serve him in this context? How do I stay faithful to him in this context? And from there, he's going to give you wisdom to help you make that decision. But a lot of times we want God to make the decision for us.
Yes.
God wants to turn us into the type of people who invite him into the decision and then work with him to say, hey, God, what is the best decision here? So he still gives us the power to make the decision instead of making the decision for us. He wants to partner with us in making decisions. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, it makes so much sense. I think that clarifies so much. I just appreciate you sharing this. And I hope other people are listening. Like, you said so many things that when I was sitting across from you hearing this, I had so many like epiphanies, or just so much peace. I just feel like we don't talk about this enough in the church. I had so much permission to make a decision like that I wanted and invite God into it, rather than like just killing myself by overcomplicating and over spiritualizing. Like, is this you? Is it not you? And then what that always turns out to be in my life is being so upset by God, because my expectation was that he would write it in the sky. And then it turns out like, you didn't do it. You didn't do what I thought you should do. You didn't do what I wanted you to do. You didn't tell me the future. And so then I'm just mad at God. And so I really think that this is crucial and probably elicits like further conversation. So I just want to say, I think that you said everything and you said it so well, but I want to say like, Christian and I, this community, this place, like is a safe place to bring and wrestle with those questions.
Yes.
We don't have the answers to help you make the right decision in your life. But just talking about like that community and that counsel, if you do not have that, like just reach out, like message us, DM us on Flatirons YA Instagram, and we would love to grab coffee and just chat, right? Or just send us an email, and we can not tell you what to do, not tell you what decision to make, but we would love to be that counsel with you and for you. Is that fair?
To help you make that decision. Because again, like the process of discovering if your wanter's broken or not, and then the process of discovering, hey, is there anything clear in God's word about this or that? It takes a lot of time.
It does.
And I think there's wisdom in saying like, hey, we want to pray and ask God. A lot of times, like good decisions take time, and good decisions take time with good people. And so like, we would love to help you get connected to some good people who want to take the time with you to help you make decisions. And just learn that, again, when Jesus says, hey, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, that he really means that. Because I think so often God, the burden that I've placed on God that I think he's placed on me does not feel easy or light.
Sure.
Through this process of understanding God, going, hey, number one, I got all the big time results, dude. I'm going to take care of you, and you and I are good. Like, you can be good with yourself, and you and I are good. There's a freedom that does come with that, of starting to go, I don't know the answer yet. I trust God to give me wisdom, and I trust that he's taught me enough to go, okay, am I making a good decision that's in violation of his will for my life? And if not, like, I have the freedom to do what I want, and God is actually okay with that. And we're not saying want in the sense of like, sick, I want to go sleep with whoever. I can go sleep, I can go do. We're not saying that, because again, you can look to his word and go, nah, it's in clear violation of his will. It's in these nitty gritty decisions of, God, do I do this? Do I not do that? Do I watch this? Do I not do that? Do I date him? Do I date her? There's a freedom that God going, hey, let's keep working in relationship. I'm going to teach you about what I want for your life at a principle level. I'm going to teach you how to ask the right questions. And from there, man, we're going to walk into a partnership together where I'm going to teach you how to make good decisions going forward.
Boom. That's so good. I thank you. I just want to say thank you from me personally, because this really resonated with me. I told Christian later on, I was like, dude, you pastored me. Like this really did pastor me. I'm not trying to
I felt like I was just blabbering.
It's just because you've actually walked through it, and you walk through authentically, and you're honest about it. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy. So I think myself included, but so many people can benefit from this. So thank you. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and maybe we'll do a secondary conversation on this.
Absolutely.
All right.
Peace out. F you.
Peace out.